we are. Mic is live because I never actually muted it. Good thing I wasn't like cursing and swearing during the countdown. All right, so happy hour. Let's just get into it and get going. I have nothing to talk about. Actually, I skipped last week's live stream. There was no live stream last week, but there really was. It's just that I had it switched to private or unlisted, and I never switched it to public because I figured I didn't really have anything to talk about last week, so I just left it. I don't really have anything to talk about this week either, but I figured I won't miss two in a row. So let's get into the beer here. We've got, I don't know what this is, Tucher, Touche. I don't know. It's a Helles Lager. So let's try this guy. And yeah, it's going to be a quick one because, like I said, I don't really have much to talk about. I was in the middle of getting plot prompt tutorials done, and I had a buddy call, needed some work done, so I'm doing a little freelance right now, which has kind of had me all tied up. So that's why I have nothing to talk about, because I'm working on that, and I can't really show any of that stuff or talk about that stuff. So, yeah, and the stuff that my other stuff is kind of just waiting and on hold. But anyway, let's have the beer here. Let's get the weekend started. It's Friday.
It's Friday!
It's happy hour.
Let's talk about stuff!
And stream it live.
Grab a beer, pour a cold one. All right, let's go! Cheers!
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. Nice lager. Just a nice, simple, basic, crisp lager. Really good. Okay, so yeah. Plot prompt. I've got to get this tutorial done. I just want to go through, do a proper tutorial of it. I've done a couple live streams, but I want to do like a real tutorial where somebody can watch it and it's going to be very clear and straightforward, going over all the things that they need to learn. And I got through, I don't know how far I am, maybe halfway. But then, yeah, I just had some freelance work I had to do. That's kept me busy for the last week. Well, the previous week, I guess, I didn't want to do another plot prompt tutorial because I already done 2 or 3, so I didn't want to do like another one. So I was working on the tutorial last week, so I had nothing to talk about. This week I'm doing freelance work, which I can't really show or talk about. I mean, it's just some comp work, which I got to say, it's been a while since I've done comp work. And, because I've been doing all the AI stuff. And holy cow, man, there's a lot about it that I forgot how much it's really awful. The crashing and the problems and the troubleshooting and things just break. Unfortunately, I don't have Nuke, so I have to use After Effects and Fusion. I'm kind of jumping back and forth between them for my comping. And I have to do some tracking, so Fusion's tracker is better. But technically, Fusion should be better for comping. But I really can't stand Fusion. It's like, it clearly wants to be Nuke, but it's not. And it's just different enough that you're trying to do things that you would do in Nuke and they don't work. I spent 20 minutes at least, maybe more, trying to debug a situation, a problem that wasn't even a problem because Fusion simply just wasn't refreshing when I came out of the Fusion page and went into my timeline and resolve. So I was coming out and seeing something that wasn't real, and I kept going back in, think, why isn't this working? Why isn't this displaying my channels, my alpha? And I'm sitting there driving, I'm being driven crazy by this problem. And it turns out it was just a cache thing. I just quit and came back in and it was fine. It's like, are you kidding me? Stuff like that just drives you up the wall. And I think I had that happen a few times because there were a few times where Fusion just like, I was looking at something like, why isn't this displaying what I think it should be displaying? And then all of a sudden it would just flip and change. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I do? Did I change something? Or did it just like the cache like refresh or something? I feel like that happened a couple times. So it's just really frustrating. I got to get this camera fixed, the flickering camera. So I'm trying to figure out what to talk about today because, like I said, I don't have any work of my own. Usually the live streams are talking about the work that I was doing this week, kind of going over what I learned from it, stuff like that. The last few have been the plot prompt demo. Oh, another thing I guess I could talk about, or one thing. Let me try and sip my beer. I'm going to try and get through this happy hour quick because, like I said, I really don't have much to talk about. And I just didn't want to skip another stream. So, and that is a tasty lager. So as I'm doing this freelance work, I realized, well, I've got to be able to track these shots. So this is always something like you try and figure, okay, how are we going to track this? And it's kind of like it's a very small project. So there aren't many, it's not like we have a dedicated, APM or PM or something, production manager on it. So, it's like, okay, well, we need some kind of list and what are we going to name stuff? And then it's just like, even when you have a list, that helps. But then it's like, well, which shot is which? Like the numbers don't mean anything. And you're like, having little thumbnails associated with them helps. So then I thought, well, I should have a tracker. Like I should build a tracker. And kind of Plot Prompt has a bit of a tracker. It's got a contact sheet. And I was like, well, what if I just kind of use that? And it's got the tracker built in for the shots, but what if I don't need the script part? What if I just kind of use this as a tracker? And I was like, well, why don't I just build a tracker? So I started making another app. So it's going to be a freelancer's tracking app for freelance work. And I think that actually could sell and do well because I don't really even know what's out there. Like I don't do freelance work enough where I have my own dedicated system, and like the industry standard is Shotgun or ShotGrid, and excuse me, and let me get my background music going. I always forget to do that. Let's switch over to background music here, and there we go. So actually, let's shuffle to a new one. What was I saying? I lost my place. Oh yeah, so trackers. So the industry standard is ShotGrid, and it's awful. It's very powerful for what it can do, but it's just so user unfriendly. And I don't know of anybody who actually likes it. Like if you spend enough time with it, then you probably like it. But that's the problem is if you're actually doing work, you don't have time to sit there and learn this stupid program. Like you want it to be intuitive. You need it to show you the information that you need to see so you can do your work. And if you got to spend, hours like trying to learn this thing so you can configure it just to get it to show you what you need to see, then it's kind of like, well, what's the point? And there are ways to do all that, and a lot of it's like it's got this basic, from what I remember, it's got like a basic core functionality, and then essentially it requires like a dedicated team to be maintaining it and set things up and configure it. It's kind of like one of these things where it's meant to be configured by a team for their own needs. So anyway, it's just nobody that I know likes it. It's just awful. And so I thought, why not make a simplified version for an indie freelancer or, a small team people who are doing freelance work, and they can just like use it to track their shots. So that's what I'm building now. I'm building another app, and I'm kind of at the stage now where I was using it, but now I've kind of like abandoned it. Just because I can't keep up with doing the updates on that while I'm trying to do my work. So I'm kind of half using it, but I do want to get it in a good place. Like as I'm using it, I'm realizing what it needs to do. And so once I get done with this project, I'm going to go back and build that thing out, because I really do think it would be helpful to have that. And anyway, the app's name is called Ship It. So I would show you, but the only working version of it I have that I could show has got the thumbnails of the project I'm working on, and I don't really know if I should show that stuff. Probably not a big deal, but so I won't bring it up and show it. It's basically the same interface as Plot Prompt, except it's got there's no script page. It's just tracking. So you have your sequences and shots, and then you have a contact sheet, and then each shot has like its the shot page, and it's got everything in there. It's like status, and it's all configurable too. So you can configure what you want your status page to look like. So you can put in your own fields, and you can make it like whatever you want. Like if you want a field to be, like whatever you want it to be, like description is a text field, or you could say camera movement, and that could be a drop down, and it could be like lock off or tripod or whatever. And you can customize what you want your tracking fields to be, so that like whatever fields you might need, you could just put them in. You don't have to rely on some pre-made template. You can just make your own, and it will it's like a per show type of thing. You have a project file that is your show, and you set up what you want your tracking to be, the fields you want, and it'll be persistent across all the shots. So it's pretty cool, and I think it's going to be, if I did more freelance work, which I really need to probably try and start doing, I would use it more often. And but since I do freelance so rarely, it's like one of these things where every time I do, I'm like, oh god, I got to set up some kind of thing. It's either I get a piece of a notebook, which is still, I think, one of the best ways to do it. There's still something about just having the lists on a notepad, like not really for an entire project, but for your day, for the day's work that you have. I think just writing this stuff down on just a damn piece of paper with a damn pen. You got to get yourself a damn fine pen. I just dropped it. That's not a damn fine pen. This is actually a really good pen. This is a Staples pen. You can't see that. It's just a cheap Staples. It's like got a good grip, and it's smooth, and it's got a nice quality to it. It's really nice. I bought a bunch of these a little while ago. It's like, how often do you buy pens? Very rarely. And every time I do, I'm like, oh my God, is this going to be a good pen? Because when you get a really good pen, you're like, oh, that's a really good pen. So yeah, just pen and paper, like for your daily chores, your daily tasks. It's something like very, very very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not rewarding, but fulfilling about just like crossing something off or checking it off, or just like physically writing it on a paper and scribbling out that task because you finished it. Anyway, what else have we got? Like I said, I don't really have anything to talk about. This is kind of a boring happy hour. I got no AI stuff to talk about. There's a bug flying around my face. Summer is almost over, which is a bummer. I have not been to the beach in a couple weeks because the weather has not been great. And I think tomorrow's actually going to be nice. So I will get to the beach tomorrow. But yeah, summer's almost over. We're coming into the winter time, and maybe the happy hours will switch to, it's going to be stouts. I'm excited for stouts. I saw some Oktoberfest beers showing up in the beer section today when I went to pick up my beer, which kind of made me happy and sad. It's a little bittersweet because I like the Oktoberfest beers, but that means it's end of summer, which is kind of a bummer. Means I'll have to start putting the top up on my car. I won't be able to drive with the top down anymore. I wish I had something interesting to talk about, but I really don't. Last week I rambled on about the industry. I don't think I'm gonna. It was kind of like a. It's just like I was just like so frustrated with things. Like, this. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. But yeah, I was just talking about. Maybe I could just recap a little bit. Sure, why not? Because what else have I got to talk about? Like I said, let me try and get through this beer quickly so we can end this stream. Because holy cow, there's 46,000 people watching. Jeez. You're all watching me talk about nothing. So I stumbled across a stream. It's maybe weird, but there's these streams out there. So you've got the internet, YouTube. It's such a weird place sometimes. You've got people that react to stuff, and they do videos of them reacting to stuff. So they play the video and they react to stuff. I think we've all probably seen those. But then you've got people that watch movies, and you watch them watch the movie. Which there's like, I don't know, there's some kind of, you know, it's you're watching somebody react to a movie. And if it's a good movie and, you know, there's like really happy parts or really sad parts, you know, sometimes it's like you feel like you're there watching it with them. And I don't know. So I stumbled across some of these and I just started watching them just to see like how people would react to certain things. And I started watching these reactions of like Lord of the Rings movies, which I think, you know, clearly, I think most people would consider it the best trilogy of all time. And I would have argued against that at one point, but over the years, I have come to realize that it truly is. It was peak cinema. It was the best it may ever get. Which is a shame because, you know, the damage that's being done to Hollywood now is all self-inflicted. But anyway, I've been watching these reaction videos, and so I stumbled across a new one, and it was like younger kids, like in their 20s, watching Lord of the Rings for the first time. So it's like a younger generation, you know, and like, well, are they going to like it? You know, they've never seen it before. Like some of them had kind of like seen it a long time ago. Some of them had kind of like seen half of it. Some of them never seen it. And the reaction was universally like, they fucking loved it. Like every single one of them. And they watched the whole trilogy. They watched it straight through and did a reaction. And, you know, at the end of it, like, it was funny. I was watching it and they kind of would talk about it at the end, you know. And when they got done with the third one, it was like a few guys and a couple girls watching it, you know, like a group. And the girls were like crying for like a half hour straight, you know, and they were trying to talk about their favorite parts and stuff. And they were just so like, you know, and that's the great thing about the story is that it is such an epic adventure. And you just feel like I just want to be able to tell a story like that. It's just my dream to be able to tell a story and have somebody watch it and have that kind of a reaction, you know, to get that invested and feel that connected to the characters. That's just something that doesn't happen a lot. And that's one of the things I think the Odyssey was missing was there was no connection with it. There was absolutely no connection with the story or any of the characters. I did not care about anything going on. And, you know, this is the biggest movie of the summer. And I looked it up on IMDb last week and it got a 97. It's got a 97 audience score, which is actually surprising. I honestly would have thought it would have been high 80s. I would not have thought it would. I didn't think he was going to get a low score, but it just wasn't that good of a movie. It just really wasn't. I think it's just the state of Hollywood is so miserable right now that people are just like, oh my God, it's like, you know, it's all relative. It feels like a great movie because it's not shit, which is what we're used to. Pardon my French. But, you know, absolutely no connection to the story or the characters. I didn't care about a single character. I didn't care what happened to them. You know, there were a lot of characters that died, a lot of his crew, Odysseus's crew, and I didn't care. When they died, when each one, I didn't care because I didn't know anything about them. I had no connection to them. I'm like, okay, I guess that guy's dead. I don't even know who the hell that was. Whatever, you know, and like, I don't know, man. So I'm just checking my chat here. So yeah, I gotta get through this beer. I gotta do still some work. I gotta do some tracking, man. Oh my God. I don't do it very often, so I'm not very good at it, and so I'm always struggling, and you always get these, like, some shots that work out, and then you get a few that are really hard. And trying to figure out how to deal with them, oof. It's really rough, man. So I got this one shot that's like just, there's not a lot of movement in it, but it's very close, and there's the foreground stuff is moving and the background stuff is out of focus, and so there's nothing for the tracker to lock onto. And like the stuff that you can lock onto is moving, so you can't use it for like a camera track, and the stuff that I need to track is in the background and out of focus, and oh god, it's just like, jeez. I'm sorry, I'm just checking my chat here. Yeah, I'm still technically, on this project. So I'm taking a little break, to do my happy hour stream. I was going to not do it, but like I said, I didn't want to miss 2 in a row. And I do need a little bit of a break because it is like the work is so frustrating. But I'm getting into my old bad CG habits of like drinking coffee, at like 6 and 7 p.m. because I need to stay up late, and, being up till 1 in the morning. Trying to power through trouble shots, and just like, dealing with all kinds of garbage. It's the kind of thing that you don't have to deal with. I have been trying to incorporate AI into my workflow. So like there's been some times where I'm trying to like maybe use it to generate an element that I might need for my comp. It's mixed results with what I get. Sometimes I get something useful, sometimes not. But I do really, it is interesting because I do really think that eventually, this way of doing things will just be, it'll just be like armatures, stop motion, doing animation. I was like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing it that way for? Not to say there isn't a time and place for that. Like Wildwood is coming out. I saw a trailer for Wildwood. That's all stop motion, I believe, right? Probably some CG in there, but there's a time and place for all that stuff. And not to say that you ever get rid of it or replace it, but new technologies come along and they become the new standard for the high end stuff. But it's not to say that, like, 3D animation. Oh god, that bug. Did I get him? No. Oh, he's in my eyeball. Oh. Man. Stupid bug. Yeah, so what the heck was I just talking about? I was talking about Wildwood and animation. And so 3D animation comes along, and it didn't replace 2D animations. They exist in their own thing. But I think like when it comes to the technology that's used, like the reason why stop motion is still a thing is because it's got an aesthetic to it. It's got a look that the only way you could mimic it with 3D, but it's really hard to make it look exactly like something that's really, animated stop motion. But those things still, it's like that handcrafted stuff. Like we all have mass-produced stuff, mass-produced furniture, and mass-produce everything, cars, but then you've got like the handcrafted custom cars, right? You've got the handcrafted, the craft furniture, right? That craftsmen make, that are handmade for. You've got all this stuff. It's not that this stuff goes away. It's just that there's a new normal way of doing things, and then there's the the craftsmen that do things like the old way, where they really get in there and roll up their sleeves, and that's considered like elite. And I think there's I should have maybe talked about this today. I guess the next live stream I'll talk about it. I've seen some videos. There's still a lot of people crashing out about AI and its impact on the industry. And I think what they don't understand is they're conflating the right word. There's the business side of things, and then there's the art side of things, and they're mixing the two up, because yes, AI has no place in art. I would agree with that. But in business, you need to bring your costs down. And if AI can bring your costs down, you absolutely have to use it, or you won't you just won't survive in business. So this is the thing that I don't think they understand. Maybe I should make a video about this. And the argument I've heard this one particular video was, well, his survival as an artist is in jeopardy because people using AI. But it's like, dude, that's technology, man. That's just what happens. Like people who used to make models for movies, there aren't a lot of them doing that anymore because it's all, I'm talking about like practical models, because it's all CG now. I'm going to get him. Got him. You see that? Right there. You little mother. Hold please. You see that? Didn't use chopsticks, but still got them. So anyway, yeah, I think like, people just have to understand that AI is it's becoming the way to do things in a practical, economical way. And I think when you mix the two, when you mix the handcrafted aspect of it with the AI part of it, that's where you really get some good stuff to come out. When you just use purely AI, well, yeah, that's when you get slop. Slop is just any generic person typing in a generic prompt, getting a generic result. But when somebody with some skill and talent takes that result and does something with it, that's when you start to get, it's when you start to get something that actually is pretty good. So, all right, we're about done with this beer, thankfully. How long? 32 minutes. Okay. Because I probably got to get back to work on this freelance stuff. I don't need. Well, oh boy, I'm thinking now about the beach tomorrow. It's going to be like a half beach day because I still got a lot of work to do. I do have to get a couple hours in, at least. Maybe I'll try and get there early. Get some early beach time. And then get home and get back to work. It is going to be a working weekend, unfortunately. But, all right, beer is done. Let's finish this thing up. And let's finish the happy hour stream. And let's kick off the weekend officially. And that's about it. Sorry I didn't have anything to talk about. I was considering skipping the stream, but I figured, I don't want to skip 2 weeks in a row. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. And I got to fix this flickering camera. I guess it's the cable. I got to get a new cable, I guess. I hope everybody has a great weekend. And, we've got a few weeks left in the summer. How many weeks? 1 week? 2 weeks? I think 1 week. We have 1 week left? What does my calendar say? We have 1 week left in the summer, officially, right? So, yeah, hope everybody has a great weekend. Hope it's good weather. Enjoy the weekend. Get to the beach if you can. And that will just about do it for this stream. So I thank you for joining me. And sorry I didn't have too much to talk about, but next week I will have more things to say. And this project I'm done may actually be out, so maybe I could talk about it if it's been finished and released. That being said, have a good weekend, everyone. And thanks for joining.